All right, all right. What's up, everybody? This is Gene. You can reach me at Super Heavyweight. Everybody, welcome to Buc What You Heard. Tonight, I have two special guests. A guy that I'm telling you, he has that high football IQ. My man, Peter Blake, host of the Sports Web on Saturday. Peter, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually changed our times now. It's 3 to 5 p.m. Saturday afternoons on WTAN 1340 a.m., the Tan Talk Sports Network. If you're listening online, tantalk1340.com. And again, the big news of the day, and you probably have already given it away. I've already given it away. The Sports Web will be going FM here in a couple weeks, 106.1, so no longer WTAN 1340 AM, but 106.1 FM. That's right, the Sports Web and every other sports talk show or every other show on that radio station will be on FM radio. So there you go.
Hey, it's a needed injection of sports talk radio in the Bay Area. It's a long time coming.
And it's got buzz.
Yeah, exactly. It has buzz. Now, for the guy, speaking of buzz, the guy, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Pigskin himself, Rick Brown.
What's up, fam?
How you doing tonight?
I am doing great, my family. You guys are killing me. You're killing me with all this buzz, man. You got more buzz than the Charlotte Hornets and all them other cats, man. You guys are on point. That's all I got to say.
You got more buzz than Johnny Manziel. How about that?
Hey, you know he buzzes a lot.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
Hey, but look, congratulations, Pete, on you guys going FM. That's huge, and what you guys have done for that station. I mean, and yes, I'm being a little biased because you have me on there a lot of times. But even though that's the case, you guys do a great job. So congratulations on that. And Gene, what's up, man? Super Heavyweight.
Hey, I'm excited. We're getting closer and closer to football season. I know right now we have the NBA Finals. I'd rather be talking football. I mean, here we are, OTAs. And I cannot wait to get into this because you've been there, you've done that, you've seen it this year. So let me start with you, Rick. You went to OTAs today. Let's get a little idea, a little taste of that defense. I mean, that's been the big question among the Tampa Bay fan base in the offseason has been the defense because of what we've been seeing, not just last year, but just in years past, how this defense hasn't lived up to what it was potentially capable of doing. So what do you think? I mean, I know you can't read a lot into the OTAs, but what are you seeing?
You know, I really hate, you know, we're two different cats on this one. I hate OTAs because it's shorts. These guys are in shorts, and it bugs me because you cannot get the hitting. You cannot see. They're not going 100% a lot of times, and so you're wondering if it's just a mirage. Are these guys really showing you what you're seeing?
I see what you're
saying. Now, having said that, what I'm seeing is these guys are flying. They're flying to the ball. They may not always get there when they're supposed to, but they're flying. They are actually, the hustle there is tremendous. The one thing that I really like is the competition that you see, not amongst players in positions, but between the defense and offense. Today, the defense got 2 interceptions. The first play of the game of 11 on 11, and the last play on 11 on 11. And they're competing. They want to succeed. And Levante David said something that was very interesting, I thought, today. Levante David said they can be the best defense of all time, not of the last decade, not the best defense in Bucs history of all time. Now, hearing Levante say this, of course, you're like, Well, what else is he going to say? I mean, yeah, he's supposed to think that. But if you guys know Levante, and Pete, you've seen him around, you know, Levante doesn't talk that much. He doesn't.
No.
He's not a braggadocious guy. You know, he's not going to say. So that kind of caught my ear and my eye. I was just like, whoa, Levante, what are you seeing that everyone else isn't seeing? Because you usually don't say too much. You just let your actions speak. So I thought that was very interesting to hear him come out and say not just that they're going to be a better defense, that this defense can be and should be the best. It kind of blew me away.
And I'll tell you this right now. Here's the thing, Rick. You're exactly right. Because if Levante David talked more people would be talking about him in the NFL because clearly the last couple of years he's one of the best weak side linebackers that nobody knows about. Finally, he's been rated as number 53, I believe, in the NFL. And if he believes this defense is going to be better and the best of all time, those are tall expectations. But you know what? He's in that huddle right now. You could see that the energy is there. You've already heard Quan Alexander talk about this defense and how the fans are going to love it. It's aggressive. You have a defensive coordinator in Mike Smith. I'm getting excited. I don't like OTAs. You know, that's why I didn't have you on the sports web this week. What can we talk about? Oh, how did that guy look in shorts? Oh, he looked great in shorts. But you know what? There's something different this year, and I can't put my finger on it. It just seems like we could possibly be a playoff team, and I think it starts with the defensive coordinator and Mike Smith, and it starts with all these talented defensive players that, by the way, I think were just so underutilized under Lovie Smith's defense and his tender here.
I can't, and you guys know I've gone on record saying I love Lovie Smith. I have nothing but the highest regard for him, but I really do believe that this team was underutilized. I saw times where I thought they were flat or maybe unprepared, and maybe it could have been the coaching. It could have been the coaching staff that they had. We don't know. Time is going to tell if this is correct, but just watching the game film and watching the formations and seeing how the D-backs were lined up 10, 11 yards off the wide receiver, giving them, carte blanche to do what they wanted to. I know we've talked about this in previous shows, but to me, like you said, there's something different. And when I'm hearing about Brent Grimes making plays or Vernon Hargreaves making plays, I know these are just OTAs, but it's good to hear about the defense doing what they do. And I'm really hoping, moving forward that we'll start to hear more. For instance, with Alteron Werner, I've heard his name mentioned a couple of times today in Twitter land about, how they're going to be trying to utilize him and get the most out of him. And I'm really excited about that because I feel like this guy was not used as good as he could have been.
Yeah, no, and I think you could be right about that because how does a Pro Bowl corner from Tennessee turn into a guy that is benched and replaced? I don't understand it. So for me, I think they're in the great situation right now because you have a defensive coordinator in Smith who did some great things with Jacksonville. Maybe he wasn't in firm control of the Atlanta Falcons, but he knows how to use Brent Grimes. You have Brent Grimes. You have Jonathan Banks. You have Vernon Hargreaves. The great thing about this also is the fact that Hargreaves doesn't have to come in right away and start. They're going to use him in nickel situations. And most predominantly the NFL is going to 4 and 5 and 6 corners to cover up those wide receivers, more or less 5 corners. That's what they're looking at right now. But to me, it doesn't feel like Hargreaves has to be the starter right away. You have guys that are experienced in a Werner, in a Banks, and in a Grimes.
Now, and definitely, and even in nickel, excuse me, Gene, and even in nickel, they have had Jude playing, starting at that nickel spot before Vernon. So it's not going to be given to him. He's going to have to prove that he can handle that position and handle that role. So, and I think that's a good thing. That's a good thing. You want players to have to earn their positions.
And I'm here to tell you, Jude is a guy that everybody needs to watch for. He came down here to Phoenix, Arizona to shut down you. This is the same place that Darrelle Revis worked out in rehab when he was coming back from that catastrophic knee injury. He was here in Phoenix at Shutdown U. Jude has come here. He's worked on his technique. He's worked on his hands. He's worked on his footwork with guys that know what they're doing. So you can expect a lot of big things from Jude as well.
Yeah, he had flashes of brilliance last year. We were singing "Hey Jude, Hey Jude" every time he was playing because he was impressive. And you know what? I'm excited because I believe, like you said, we have some defensive coaches here that know how to use these players. It's not about their defensive system and if these players work in it. It's about using their strengths and weaknesses to the best of their ability. That's what coaching is all about. I'm excited about Mike Smith, and I'm definitely excited about Jay Hayes, and I think it starts up front. And I want to shift gears here because I heard a comparison this week, guys. I want to get your analysis on this because, look, comparisons can be asinine. But when you have Robert Ayers, who's played in the NFL for a long time, and he played with a player in Von Miller, and he compares Noah Spence to a Von Miller. Look, the NFL is an emulation league, okay? Noah Spence looks like he has all the tools to be great. But to already compare this guy to Von Miller, that's eye-opening to me.
Yeah. And just listening to Noah Spence went on record saying that the NFL wasn't as fast to him. You know how you have college players that come in. He said it wasn't the only player that really stuck out to him was Gerald McCoy. So I'm expecting big things. My expectations are very high this year as opposed to other years because I think that we have something special. I think we have a good foundation on defense, and I think they've sprinkled in some players that can make plays. And with the right defensive coordinator making the right defensive calls, I think this team can make some noise.
Rick, what have you seen out of Noah Spence to get maybe the fan base excited a little bit?
You know, what Noah has really has done, he reminded me of Jameis in the sense that he's come in and has been very quiet. He's come in and has just done his work and has worked out. And you're starting to see flashes from him. You're starting to see him, of course, you're not supposed to touch the quarterback. You're starting to see him get around the edge a little and kind of like brushing again here. You know, those things can get people excited because the things you have to question about, though, you said, okay, did he really get past the offensive lineman there, or would he really have had a sack there? But it looks good right now because he is showing flashes. And those flashes, it's speed. That speed is nice. That first step is nice, guys. Real nice.
Wow, I'm excited to see that. Now, guys, August is a date that a lot of people don't really think about, but we have Jacksonville and we have Cleveland, and we're doing joint practices. So that's something to really get excited about. You've got another team to hit on. You've got another team to get after the quarterback. So what do you guys think? You think this is a good idea for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to go out and face another team? I've always believed that iron sharpens iron, and it makes you better facing somebody different than who you face all the way through camp and OTAs and everything else. I think this is a good opportunity for Tampa.
Yes, I think it is too because you're going to get a chance to practice against one of the upcoming teams in the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mark this down, guys. They're going to be a playoff team this year. You get an opportunity to practice against that team. I think it's a great opportunity. The Cleveland Browns are going to come out there. They're going to be competitive because they have a new coach that believes that this team is going to be competitive. So it's a great opportunity for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to not only hit each other, but hit these other teams. I love it.
I agree with that, Pete. And to me, you get at least 2 more practices. And why I say that is you look at the preseason as, to me, that's just practice. Because you're more realistic than camp and OTAs because you're really hitting. Okay? Now, Now you get against teams you're going to play, but it's against somebody else, and so that's going to get you're going to see if your stuff works, and you're going to show some stuff to them in practice that you won't show in the game more than likely, and you'll get to practice some stuff that you won't practice in the preseason games because you won't see them anymore, but you'll at least get a chance to see it live before the real bullets fly. That's a good thing, and I believe anytime you get to perfect your craft, to perfect whatever it is, that's a good thing.
Yeah, most definitely. So I do want to kind of switch gears, and I want to talk a little bit about the offense because we know from based on what we saw last season, the offense is something exciting and something to really look forward to with a franchise quarterback in Jameis Winston, the return of Doug Martin at running back, seeing Charles Sims to complement a Doug Martin, a healthy Austin Seferian-Jenkins, Cameron Brate, just players of that caliber, and a healthy Kenny Bell. I'm telling you what, guys, hold on to your hats because I really believe this guy is going to do some things. I just one thing I noticed about Kenny Bell, and I'll let you guys talk here shortly, but the one thing I noticed about Kenny Bell is that during his injury, you always saw him with a clipboard. You always saw him by a coach. You didn't see him over socializing or talking to the crowd or anything like that. He was into the game. And the one thing that Jason liked, I've noticed the players that he's brought in, I won't say so much free agents, but the players he's drafted, they have it from here down to here. And that's what's important right there, is bringing in a player that has that football mind, that football IQ, a football player. And I think that's what Kenny Bell is, and I really expect big things from him this year.
It's going to be kind of undetermined at this point because he didn't do much in the preseason last year. We heard a lot about him in training camp. You couldn't miss him because he's got a big afro, so you can't miss him in the first place. But there's a lot of excitement around Bell. He's got speed. He was drafted out of Nebraska. Hopefully he fills that position at 3. There's going to be a competition between him and Adam Humphries and Dante Dye. That's one of the positions I'm looking at. And please, knock on wood right now, Austin Seferian-Jenkins, please stay healthy because we know, guys, how much potential this kid really has. He has it all. He has the characteristics. I think he can be more consistent with his hands. He's got the body type. He's got the speed. But the problem is, can he stay healthy? So when he stays healthy, knock on wood, if he can stay healthy, boy, oh boy, this tight end crop with him and Cameron Brate and Stalker coming back, that's a pretty damn good offense. I'm excited about the offense. I want to see what they're going to do in the second year, and I think both of those positions, tight end and especially wide receiver, are some of those positions that you're going to have to watch in camp.
Oh, most definitely. And the guy that nobody's talking about, he had a bad season, Mike Evans. Mike Evans can do nothing but go up. I think his head's in the game. I think he's got 2 years of professional experience behind him. I expect big things from him. I understand what happens in the sophomore slump, that kind of thing. I'm not making excuses for him. It is what it is. But I really do believe that, learning the wide receiver position and the nuances that go with the wide receiver position, it is a possibility. I'm not saying a possibility, but I really believe he's going to bounce back from that 1,200-plus yard season, and he's going to have a bigger season this year.
Bounce back from 1,200 yards when he had more catches and more yards. That's funny to think, but I know what you're saying because he had a lot of drops last year. He could have had even bigger numbers. You guys mentioned players who I want to see this year, and you may laugh. I want to see Doug Martin this year. I want to see Doug Martin after he's gotten paid. I want to see if he is the same Doug Martin that we had last year, or will he get injured again? Because he's always been, when he's been healthy, Doug Martin has been a baller. We've all seen that.
Very true.
But he's only been healthy 2 years, and he was hurt 2 years. So what's going to happen in this 5th season? So I'm really excited to see what Doug brings this year, and I also want to see the progression of that offensive line.
Yeah.
The quarterback got hit 109 times last year. Got hit. Yes, he only got sacked 27 times, which was the fourth best. But he got hit 109 times. That's way too much, guys. And so I want to see how this offensive line, because they're going to have a new left guard who hasn't participated in OTAs yet and won't participate into training camp. Everyone else is basically the same, so they should improve, right? Right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
You would think so, and there may be some slow start in the preseason, but get all that out of the way in the preseason, so when you start the season, you're ready to go. You bring up a great point with Sweezy coming in as a left guard. There's some questions about him with pass protection. As a road grinder, run blocker, he's pretty sound. He did that in Seattle with Marshawn Lynch. But as a pass protector, we'll see here, and we'll see what happens with this right tackle spot. Is it good? DeMar Dotson was anointed the starter. Does Gosler Chairless come in here? Does Kevin Panfield challenge for that job? I tell you right now, though, looking at this Buccaneer offensive line, guys, tell me if you agree. There's a lot more depth than in years past, right?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
absolutely.
Yes, and they're working on, and it's funny because everyone is working on center now. Ali Marpet is working as backup center. Kevin Panfield is working as a backup center. You already have Evan Smith, who was the starter at the beginning of the year last year, who's your backup center and a backup guard, and as well as your starter, Joe Hawley. I mean, that's four guys right there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And you drafted somebody in the 5th round, didn't you, from UCLA who could play multiple positions. So I think right now the Buccaneers are sitting real pretty because of the past drafts and the depth that they have on the offensive line. You got to be excited.
Oh, absolutely. And guys, you know, I know this is that podcast. I want to look back on this podcast after the season is over, because I personally, I'm going to go on record saying this, that this team is going to beat some teams that nobody else in the NFL is expecting. I've been watching a lot of NFL Network and the 4-letter network, which I'm not even going to call them out, but nobody has the Bucs even competing for the NFC South. Everybody has the Bucs at the bottom of the list, even below the Saints right now, and that's what everybody's saying. So what people don't understand is this team, I think this is a different team than what you saw last season. I think the offense is similar. I think that the offensive coordinator that was brought in is a mirror image of the head coach who was the offensive coordinator. So I expect a lot of the same things from the offense. You guys talk about players that you can't wait to see. My guy is Charles Sims. Charles Sims has done everything that I've expected him to do, and I expect even more from him this year. I expect for them to feature him a lot more. He's got nice hands, and he's got nice footwork. As far as being a feature back, I don't know, not so much. I have to see a little bit more from him. But just what he does to complement Doug Martin, I think is amazing, and I think he's eventually, his name's going to be up there pretty soon. If he continues at this pace and he continues to improve, I expect to see a whole lot more from Charles Sims.
Well, you need two running backs in the NFL. So
in this NFL, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's, you know, he showed me something last year, and I was impressed with the things I saw from his pass blocking to his burst.
My goodness.
And so those are good things, and I want to see him improve as well. I want to see him pushing Doug. I want them to have a decision saying, say, wow, should we leave Doug in or should we bring? I would love to have that decision to make if I was a coach saying,
you know what,
how can we keep him down the bench?
Yeah, and as Bucs fans, we've always had the luxury, since Doug Martin's been drafted, we've had the luxury of running backs with the exception of the times he's been hurt. I mean, we can always say, you know, you go down your roster and you come to Doug Martin, oh, we don't have to worry about running back. But, you know, that's just been where we're at. You know, and it makes you appreciate what this general manager's done with the draft. I mean, he's worked wonders, to be honest. I don't know about you guys, but if this draft is successful as I think it can be, with the potential starters that they could have with Arguello, you're talking about the fullback, you're talking about Vernon Hargraves, players that are rookies that are able to contribute to a team winning. I mean, I can't help but say that this general manager is one of the better general managers we've had in a long time.
And look, it remains to be seen, but if history is any indicator of what he's done in the past, I think we're in pretty good shape. I'm looking forward to Noah Spence, but I'm going to be a little selfish here, guys. I'm looking forward to see this defensive line. I want to see this defensive rotation. We're going to have Jaquez Smith. You're going to have Howard Jones. You're going to have William Golston. You're going to have Gerald McCoy. And I feel like Clinton McDonald. You're going to finally have a defensive coordinator along with the defensive line coach that I believe is going to be able to use these guys the proper way. And I think now, like Rick said before, with Spence and his speed, I'm just looking forward to see what he can do because, look, defensive ends last year that were drafted in the draft, only most of them had 6 sacks. I think this kid could really eclipse that if he's given the opportunity. But overall, I'm going to be selfish. I'm looking forward to seeing this defensive line in the rotation.
Oh, most definitely. And you've been on Twitter, Rick. You're constantly on Twitter. You saw what people were saying during the draft. Why didn't we get a defensive lineman? Why didn't we get this? Why didn't we get that? Blah 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 blah. You know what? Unfortunately, these guys, these people, these prognosticators that are on Twitter or on social media, they're doing this for fun. This is a hobby. Jason Licht is doing this for his job. This is what he does, okay? So I'm going to have to say put faith in your general manager. Let's see what he can do. Let's see what he can put together because, to me, Quan Alexander didn't see it coming, okay? Last season, if you watch any of my podcasts from last season, didn't see it coming. I may have mentioned, that guy, the 4th rounder, yeah, what's his name? Yeah, that guy. That was me. And you know what? I was wrong. This guy is a playmaker. This guy is going to he's a difference maker on the defense.
That was all of us. After the first, all right, during training camp, we started seeing Quana. We was like, who's that rookie who hit that running back and put him down? You're not supposed to do that. But it seemed like every day Quan was being highlighted. He would highlight himself. He would come out and say, yeah, I'm here, and I don't care who you are. And so we were surprised the day after their first practice after the Minnesota game, preseason game, where starting in the middle was Quan Alexander. So the first question was, where's your free agent from Dallas who was starting?
Right.
Is he hurt? But he wasn't. And you was like, whoa, is this going to work? We were all surprised, Gene. You weren't the only one.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, everybody. I think everybody was surprised by him coming out of nowhere with the speed, the anticipation. I mean, you watched the Atlanta game last year. He's got the intensity, but he's running down Julio Jones. You're running down Julio Jones. You're stripping the ball. You're trying to make a play. Let's face it, guys. If the Buccaneers don't lose Quan Alexander for those 4 games, I truly believe this. They're a 10-win team. So, in looking at what they did last year to this year with better coaching and better personnel on another draft, who's to say that they're not another 10 to 11-win team? Who cares if this schedule is tougher? Guess what? The Bucs are going to be better because they have the coaching and the players to match. Am I the eternal optimist? Absolutely. But I tell you now,
I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you.
It's not going to be like everybody thinks it's going to be with Carolina just running away with it. It's not going to be the Atlanta Falcons or the New Orleans Saints. I'm telling you right now, you better watch out for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And if you think that's going to be a win on your schedule, think again. This team is ready to play, ready to go. And right now, I'm ready to go because we're down here in Tampa suffering watching the Tampa Bay Rays suck every night. They can't score. The Tampa Bay Lightning are eliminated. Let's start football season now. I need football season. Rick, start it up, man. You're buzzing already. Start the football season. Let's go.
And you know, let's talk about the special teams, because this is a position that you know, it hasn't been talked about much by the fan base. And I want Rick, I want your thoughts. I know we have Arguello. They're trying a lot of different options at kick returner. So what are your thoughts on that position? Because to me, a kick returner can make the biggest difference in the world. Case in point, the Jacksonville Jaguars game, Bobby Rainey running 54 yards on a kickoff return that sets up the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to score. Okay? So that really shows you, right? That's just one example of how the special teams can come in and make an impact to help the team to score points.
You know, and you don't have Bobby Rainey anymore, so you're going to have a new cast back there. Right now you have Adam Humphries, you have Kenny Bell, the kickoff return, and you have a couple other guys. I think Shepard was back there, as well as Dye was back there at one point. What you want is someone, number one, who's going to control the ball. You need that. You cannot have any fumblers back there. You cannot have anybody back there who you think will fumble. You know, so you need that. So the first one, you want someone who can control the ball. The second point, you want someone to make good decisions. If the ball is kicked 8 yards deep in the end zone, go ahead and take a knee and go out to the 25-yard line now. You know, so
now would you say, and I didn't mean to interrupt you here, but would you say that it takes that special player? I mean, when we think about the who is the kick returner for Atlanta, was with Chicago?
Devin Hester.
Devin Hester. Did anybody, because we were all watching the draft, we were all into football just like we are now, did anybody see Devin Hester coming when he was drafted?
No, he had extreme speed. He played multiple positions with the Miami Hurricanes. They really didn't know how to use him. Used him as a wide receiver, I believe, as a defensive back, but nobody saw him coming. It's just that innate ability. It's that the ability, the focus, the speed, the vision. And like Rick said, it's very important not to fumble, because, again, field position is so important today, especially with all these rules. You know, switching to the kicker, I'm curious to see what the Buccaneers are going to do with Arguello and his talent and that 4.09 hang time. Are they going to have like these lollipop kicks where the defenders come down and they pin these offenses into the 10 or the 15-yard line? I'm excited about that aspect, because I think they're going to play around with this. I think they have a big-time plan, and I think their analytics department is looking at this and they're saying, this was a smart move all the way around. Not only do you get a kicker who is one of the most accurate in college football history, you get a guy that can kick distance, you get a guy that can also put the ball up in the air for hang time. I think it's a win-win situation, and I'm curious to see what this Buccaneer special teams coach and what the Buccaneer plan for Arguello overall is.
Yes, you know, and the fact that we had Martin Gramatica. You know, the one thing, let me stop before I go any further. I want to say that I feel like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are like a family. I've seen so many former players coming in to mentor players. Dexter Jackson, Martin Gramatica,
Warren Sapp. Even though we don't want to admit it.
Derek Brooks. Players that former players that are coming in, giving words of advice. I remember Doug Williams. Before Mark Dominic screwed that up. Before, you know, just former players coming in, providing advice for these younger players and helping to guide them. And that's the one thing I've looked at other teams, but I just maybe they don't really talk about it as much. But I really feel like Tampa, this organization, does a whole lot with former players coming in to help the existing players right now. I remember Warren Sapp talking with Gerald McCoy, tutoring Gerald McCoy and helping him. I remember Derek Brooks being the voice of reason for Jameis Winston, and Mike Allstott. I met Mike Allstott at the Phoenix airport. He had nothing but great things to say about Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston is a winner from Mike Allstott, okay? So to me, I feel like this is a family. And I know Rick, I know that your main team is Washington.
I got another one. Hey, Guy, I got another one for you. How about Rondé Barber tutoring Vernon Hargreaves? I mean, who better to tutor Vernon Hargreaves than a guy that was known to, when he got drafted out of Virginia, what was the third or fourth round? I think the fourth round, because he didn't have the size, because he didn't have the speed. And now he's tutoring Vernon Hargreaves. I mean, you're absolutely on the money with that. It's always good to see former players come back into the fold and lend that mentoring that these young players absolutely need.
I think it helps. I think it's okay. Yeah, you mentioned up in D.C., and there's a few players who always venture back to Redskin Park.
Gerald Green.
And I don't know if they mentor the other guys or not. Because I still think number one, and then number.
It's not Albert Hainsworth, is it? Did he finally show up? Did he finally show up there, Rick?
And then number two, they have to be receptive to it, and then number two, they have to want to do it. Right. So I mean, these guys in Tampa,
that stop technique over there in defensive line.
These guys in Tampa, they stay mostly in the area, so they can come back, and they still have an affinity with the fan base. So this is why it works here. And I heard all of that, and I ignore all of that, guys, because.
Let me ask you something, guys. Okay, Randy Moss. He's a great player. Would you want him to come back and tutor Mike Evans? Because as great
Absolutely.
as Randy, but wait a minute now. As great as Randy Moss was on the athletically on the field, he'll always be known as a guy that played when he wants to. Do you want those type of traits to rub off of Mike Evans? I don't know if I want a type of player like that. He's.
You know what I like about that is Randy Moss is one of the best receivers in the NFL history, and what he can give to Mike Evans is, and he seems like, if you see him on TV now, he seems changed.
Yes,
he doesn't seem like that arrogant, that guy who's gonna moon Green Bay.
That was funny.
That was funny. Or hit a cop while up in Minnesota with his car. But no, seriously. I mean, I think he appreciated someone like Mike Evans reaching out to him and saying, "Would you teach me?"
Right.
And I think that helped both of them out personally. And I think you can learn something from anybody.
Absolutely.
I mean, the biggest asshole in the world, I think you can learn something from him if you listen.
Definitely.
Definitely. I have no problems with it at all.
I mean, you look at what Mike Evans went through last season with the drop passes, and I can personally count about 200 yards that he left on the field in drop passes, and I think that being able to work with a guy the caliber of a Randy Moss, a guy that nobody could stop when he was on his game, nobody was stopping Randy Moss. I don't care if Deion Sanders was in his prime. I don't think Deion Sanders was stopping Randy Moss when Randy Moss wanted to play.
Unless it was the New York Giants defense in that Super Bowl.
Oh yeah. Well, let's
let's not forget, because I know I was one of those people that said the Patriots are going to win that game by a blowout, and the Giants just absolutely hit them in the mouth, and they shut down Randy Moss. But you're exactly right. Moss had the ability. He was a zone breaker. He would break a defense up just like that. He had the speed. He had the size.
And he had the nicest hands.
Yes,
he does not get credit for the hands that he's got.
No. He was unbelievable. I just remember that game on Thanksgiving when the Dallas Cowboys decided not to draft him. Oh, okay, all right, you're not going to draft me? That's cool. I'll go over 200 receiving yards with a couple touchdowns, Jerry Jones, and I'll make you pay for the rest of your life for that.
Exactly. So
And Rick's laughing because Rick knows what I'm talking about because Rick's a Redskin fan. He loved every minute of it. You loved it, didn't you?
Loved every catch, every touchdown, every that Moss gave. Yes, I loved it. It was like yesterday.
So what are your thoughts on that, Rick? I mean, how do you feel about, a guy with that kind of background? It's kind of, and I don't want to take anything away from NFL, but it's kind of like Barry Bonds being the hitting coach for the Miami Hurricanes. Or the Miami Marlins, excuse me.
Yes.
Marlins, yeah.
You might as well be the hitting coach of the Miami Hurricanes. Maybe they'll show them how to hit or take steroids for that matter. But, Rick, go ahead.
Oh, you're just buzzing. You're buzzing. No, again, I have no problems with Mike Evans trying to get better. And if he's getting something from Randy Moss that helps him, even if it's just a day with him talking, that's a day that you get better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I have no problems with any player.
Most definitely. And, I mean, let's look at Warren Sapp. I never had a problem with Warren Sapp, personally. I ran into Warren Sapp in the Club Underground. I ran into Warren Sapp. I've seen Warren Sapp at the mall buying shoes a couple of times. Never had a problem with Warren Sapp. He autographed a book for me, and, I never had a problem with the guy. But I hear so many stories about what a jerk he is, how surly he is, and this kind of thing. But you know what? What he was able to help Gerald McCoy with, and he was able to help Gerald McCoy and guide him in the right direction, that's a good example of a player that had some questionable off-the-field issues, but he was able to help a player in his play on the field.
Good point. It's a good point, and he was one of those players that said from the very beginning that Gerald McCoy should have been the pick for the Bucs instead of Sue, because that's Mark Dominic and Raheem Morris, they actually liked Ndamukong and Sue over Gerald McCoy, and Warren Sapp was a big proponent for Gerald McCoy. So you're exactly right. So, unless it's Johnny Manziel or it's Barry Bonds, because to me, Barry Bonds is a scourge of baseball. He doesn't need to be in baseball. Right. The records are ruined. I could go on a huge rant on this, but I won't. Unless it's Johnny Manziel or Barry Bonds that are tutoring your athletes, everybody else is open. I'm cool with it.
All right. Well, hey, it's getting warm in here, and you know what that means.
Uh-oh.
It's time for the hot seat. So how this is going to work, everybody, I've got 10 questions I'm going to ask my man, Peter Blake. And it could be anything from wrestling to football, so you don't be expecting one category, but I'm going to try to keep it as nice as I can this week because it's your first time on the hot seat.
And because I don't have as much buzz as Rick Brown.
Not as much buzz as Rick Brown. If I get Rick Brown on again, he's going in the hot seat. But
where's he at right now? He's just hiding out over there. What are you doing over there? What are you doing, bud? Oh, there you
are. Right. Hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to even add another 30 seconds on here just for you. So you got a minute and 30 seconds. Get to these questions. First name that pops in your head for every question I ask.
Okay. All right.
Tell me when are you ready?
I'm ready. Go.
All right. Okay. Favorite Buck player?
Derek Brooks.
Greatest all-time Buck player?
Derek Brooks.
Greatest Buck running back of all time?
Work done.
Greatest play in Bucks history?
Rondé Barber, 92 yards in Philadelphia.
Besides the Super Bowl, greatest Tampa Bay Buccaneers game ever?
Monday Night Football, Sean King, work done, the comeback at Raymond James Stadium.
All right. Who is the greatest Tampa Bay Buccaneers coach?
Greatest coach is, to me, John Gruden because he brought a Super Bowl.
Okay. John Cena or Roman Reigns?
John Cena.
Okay. In all of sports, greatest game in sports history?
Greatest game in sports history has to be the Vince Young versus USC game. That was unbelievable.
All right. And question number 10. Who is your sexiest woman of all time?
Sexiest woman of all time. Jeez, Gene, you're killing me
10,
here.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
Sophie
2.
Vergara.
Okay.
Vergara.
I'm going to give it to you. You have 1 second left. You made it on the hot seat, my friend.
She's probably not the sexiest of all time. She's the only one I can think about at this point.
Oh, my God, man. You were struggling. That last question got you.
There were so many. I could have said Beyonce. I mean, I didn't want it to sound like everybody else. I mean, at a time, Little Kim was hot, too.
Before this horrible transformation. This horrible transformation. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Rick, what is the schedule going to be like for OTAs coming up? I think we have another week. Is that correct?
Yeah, and then you have another week, and then you have mandatory minicamp, and then they're all for a month. So basically 2 more weeks of practice before you're taking a month off.
Okay, so based on what you've seen, do you have? And this is just a question. I'm throwing this out here. Based on what you've seen from the defense, do you have some kind of idea of what Tampa might be doing for the 2016 season?
Well, what do you mean?
As far as defense, we're talking strictly defense.
Were they going to run? What kind of formations?
Or just have you seen any players besides Gerald McCoy, Levante David, and Quan Alexander? Have you seen some players that are in certain positions and looking at the overall team? What are they going to? Do you have any kind of idea of what kind of defense they're going to be running?
I mean, no matter what they say, I think they will be a 4-3 base. Right? That's their base. That's going to be their bread and butter. Mm-hmm. Now, will they break out sometimes in 3-4? Yeah, I can see that. Will they run a ton of nickel? Yeah, I can see that as well. Will they run some dime? Yeah. Will they be blitzing everyone from the cornerback like Rondé used to do from linebackers, Levante? Yeah, I can see that as well. Very aggressive, I think they want to dictate what the action instead of letting the offense dictate the action. One thing that I think happened last year was that Tampa Bay reacted instead of taking the fight on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think that's Mike Smith's philosophy. I think Mike Smith is going to bring the noise instead of waiting to see what you do and then react. So I think I agree, it's going to be more aggressive, and it should be kind of fun.
Exactly. And you know what? I'm going to use a WWE term, ruthless aggression.
Love it.
I
love that era. I love that era. And I tell you who came out.
Ruthless aggression, baby.
I tell you who came out and said that first, and that was probably his best promo he ever ran. That was John Cena coming out on SmackDown. I know, Rick, you're a wrestling fan. You remember this. John Cena coming out against Kurt Angle in the Kurt Angle challenge, and Kurt Angle asked him who he was, and he said, "I'm John Cena, and I'm all about ruthless aggression." And after that, somebody neutered him.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I think he's starting becoming a rapper or something like I don't know. Something like that.
Vanilla Ice or something.
That guy.
But you know what? That kind of worked if he were a heel. Now he's like, all good. He's like Hulk Hogan, except he's watered down Hulk Hogan. And the gimmick, it doesn't work. So when he asked me John Cena and Roman Reigns, I'm ready to say AJ Styles at this point. I want to see one of these guys turn heel before I die because WWE has no idea how to book.
They have no idea. Me and you, we need to go in there and hold them all hostage, and we need to show them how to book.
Rick can book. I mean, Rick's a wrestling fan too. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, tell me the product.
It's horrible.
Now,
the fact that they bring AJ Styles in and treat him worse than he was treated at TNA, it is a real travesty of justice.
I mean, that's saying something.
They did him dirtier than they did at TNA. Okay?
Because you're in TNA, you don't even get paid. I mean, there's still wrestlers that are in
He's getting
WWE.
paid to get
still
screwed
haven't got
over.
paid. Well, at least he's getting a heel push. I mean, at least you bring in Sting, an icon, and you make him lose to Triple H and Seth Rollins. What are you thinking about? And then you put him in the Hall of Fame for what? Yeah. Man, that was great.
Yeah,
well, that's a great use. That was a great use of a character.
And you got Samoan Joe over here at NXT doing nothing.
What? Well, yeah, exactly. You got Ryback getting released. I mean, how many wrestlers have they released already? And you got Samoa Joe sitting in NXT doing what? Why is he in NXT? He's a monster. That guy's a heel all day long. I mean, he may not have the wrestling body. That's the reason why he's Samoa Joe. He looks Samoa. So there you go. Use him as a heel. What's wrong with you, WWE? Can't you listen to the fans? They don't like Roman Reigns. You need to turn him heel.
Exactly. That's the problem right there. When he was with the Shield and they were all heels, they were over. They were over with the fans.
Yeah.
You know, they're not.
Stop trying to bring back the NWO. You can't recreate that moment. Do something different. Enough of this. And by the way, next time you have a Monday Night Raw, okay, and you have somebody get up there and dance, and Stephanie McMahon is ready to drop it like it's hot, you don't interrupt that promo. You let that promo go.
Let it go.
That's the tease. I wanted to see that. Right. Let him go. You know, what do they used to say in TNA when Velvet Sky used to come out? Let the pigeons go. Let the pigeons fly.
Let the pigeons fly.
That's it. Let them go.
Let them fly.
Let them fly.
Well, guys.
By the way, speaking of pigeons. Speaking of pigeons, though, I got a real funny story here, okay? I get out of my sports talk show. I'm hungry because I didn't eat all day long because I'm so concerned about the most entertaining sports talk show in the Tampa Bay area. I go to Checkers to eat a cheeseburger. That was probably my biggest mistake. But I decide to stick my cheeseburger down on the table. Nasty little pigeons and little crows take it. They take the bun. They don't even eat the cheeseburger. They put the cheeseburger on the ground. I got nothing to eat still. I had to go home. I haven't eaten like 7 hours because of that. How's that for buzz? Huh?
That's buzz right there, man. That's that flapping buzz right there, man.
I'd rather see flapping pigeons on Velvet Sky and Stephanie McMahon than see those pigeons at Checkers, man. Hey. I feel like a Major League. Hope those dirty birds die when Bob Uecker.
Oh, you're talking about the Falcons, or you? Oh, you're talking
no.
Oh, you're talking Major League. Same thing.
Major League 2. Yeah. Remember Major League 2 and the bird? He saved the bird, and he was a rat with wings. That's what I felt like when I was at Checkers. A rat with wings.
There you go. Well, guys, this has been an awesome show. I know this is the time of the week where we really, we're still building up to the camp and everything like that, but I appreciate you guys getting on. I'm getting hyped about football. I really am. And nobody's going to derail that until maybe the 4th or 5th game of the season, depending on how well the Bucs do. But I'm excited. I think this team is really going to do some things. There are going to be some problems for some other teams.
Yeah, well, I don't think you got any choice to get hyped about football, because if you get hyped about the Rays, you may want to shoot yourself, because watching this team play baseball lately has just been
painful. Very painful. Yeah, I've seen. Yeah, that game against the Yankees, man, that just was. You
had to rub it in, didn't you?
Hey,
you had to pick You had to pick the scab, didn't you?
I think that was a no-hitter. That was almost a no-hitter, wasn't it?
Rick, help me out here. What fan are you? Are you a fan of the Rays? Look at this. Look at all this gray here because of the Rays. Exactly. He's left the room. He showed up as many fans as showed up at Tropicana when they played during the weekdays.
Oh, this guy shows up a Washington Nationals hat.
There you go. That's a good team. Hey, that's a good team, okay? They got a new stadium.
And that pitching is kind of nice. That pitching is kind of nice.
Yep. It is.
All right.
Yeah. Strasburg's got his big deal.
You know what? I think, looking back from his rookie season till now, I really believe that management handled him correctly in holding him to a pitch count his first 2 seasons, and I think that it's paying off right now.
Yeah, I think so too, and he's
I
definitely
was
in the future.
upset. I was upset when that year they shut him down because I thought that was the year that Washington could have done a lot of damage. But for long term, and they made the right decision, and I'm happy to see where he is right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, guys, it's 11 o'clock your time, and you know what? I know this has been a big sacrifice for everybody. Thank you both for being on. Peter, please, once again, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, what you've got going on. Let's talk about this new FM gig that we have coming up. Get some real juice into the Tampa Bay area in sports talk.
Absolutely. It's called the Sports Web. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense on Saturday afternoons from 3 to 5 p.m. And in a couple weeks, maybe a month, 106.1 FM, the Sports Web, an answer to the fan, a fan show. Again, bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. Yours truly, Peter Blake, hosting along with Sean the Sports Dom, Rick Brown coming on being our Bucs correspondent. There you go.
Hey, all right. And you know what? If you call in regular enough, you get your own walk-up music like you were in the WWE.
Exactly.
Okay?
We treat you like you're a star.
You cannot beat that. You are
and you can call up twice. You can call up twice. I mean, even if you spew nonsense on one call, you can call again and get hung up on again. I mean,
exactly. Or you can redeem yourself if it's possible.
Most likely you won't because you're trying to piss me off. So I'm gonna hang up on you again. But you get a chance.
Don't call in talking about soccer either.
Yeah, don't call. Don't call my sports talk show and talk about David Beckham. And then when the co-host asks you about David Beckham, you don't know what's going on. The Sports Web is all about my Thanksgiving table. Don't bring me like a pie.
Or
bring me some mashed potato. Yeah. Don't bring me a fruitcake. Bring me some sweet potato pie. Bring me some mashed potatoes. Bring me something to the table, because if not, everybody's going to go hungry and everybody's going to go stupid, and then you're going to piss me off, and you don't want to do that, because you know why? I'm Peter Blake, giving you something to think about.
All right. And Rick Brown, today's Pigskin. Great articles. Yes. I've seen some really great articles. I've been posting them on Facebook, been posting them on Twitter, because I really believe in what this blog is all about, and I think you have some really quality writers on there, and I really encourage as many people as possible to check that out, because I think that for the NFL, whether it's all 32 teams or whatever your team is, you will find something that will benefit you.
And I appreciate that. I do think today's Pigskin is really growing. We have some top-notch writers on this team, and I'm not just speaking for myself, who has 25 years of experience in sports writing. I mean, Roy Cummings, who was with the former Tampa Tribune, is now with us. And so we're going to challenge to give you from any website, we're going to do it because we're there. And so follow me there, todayspigskin.com. Also, hit me on Twitter at RickBrown91. I don't bite unless the moon is full and you piss me off, and then we may have to battle a little bit. But other than that, it's all good. I love you all. And Gene, as always, thanks for having me on.
Real quick, before you guys go, I'm going to put you on the spot. Golden State or Cleveland? Who do you guys like?
Cleveland.
Rick.
Golden State.
Golden State, man. I got to go Golden State. What are you talking about,
There
Gene?
you go.
You jabroni.
It's Cleveland.
You jabroni.
Hey, you know what? and this is Gene. You can reach me at Super Heavyweight on Twitter. You follow me, I'll follow you back. Yeah, I don't bite, but you might get a Stone Cold Stunner if you say the wrong thing to me. So just keep that in mind.
RKO, baby.
Hey, what's your name? What's your name?
Hey, I am the Super Heavyweight.
Your name is.
It doesn't matter what your name is, Jabroni. It doesn't matter what your name is. Rick's awesome.
All right. Well, guys, hey, thanks a lot for coming on, and that's it for me, folks. Enjoy the show. Give us some likes. Give us some comments. I will be on next week. Hopefully, after next week, it'll probably be a couple of weeks until we get into camp. I am going to try to get down to Tampa to check out some camps and, give you possibly a Buc What You Heard from Tampa, live from Tampa, just to give it a little bit of flavor. But, guys, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it, and I hope to have you on, again. Cheers to you, too. All right, everybody. That's it for me. Everybody have a good night.